and me the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you.
Hey guys, welcome to the Oracle of Lilith. My name is Amy, and today I'm doing a pick a card all about why were you born into your family. Now, if this is your first time to my channel, hello, hi, how are you? It's really good to have you. I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel and becoming a member of my tribe. If you're a returning subscriber, hey guys, what is up? How are you? It's always good to connect with your energy, and I truly appreciate you guys being here. Now, keep in mind, this is a general reading. It's a general session, so just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. I do offer personal and private readings and sessions. All that information is down below in my description box. You will actually find a link to my website, and on that website you will find a menu that lists all my current offerings and a little bit of information about my readings and how I go about doing them. So now, before you see 3 cards and 3 crystals. These are your psychic linking objects. I will be pulling cards as I go. So I'm going to show you each card and each crystal close up so you guys can get a better view and a better feel of each group. Group 1, you are number 22, examining self-identity, and your crystal is a Lapuz Lazuli. Group 2, you are loving the self on all levels, number 6, and you are the white Jade angel. Group 3, you are number 39, experiencing the reality of change, and you are the turquoise stone. Okay guys, so those are your 3 groups to pick from. I will include a little video with some music for those of you who need more time to select your choices. If you're drawn to more than one group, there's probably more than one message here for you. And with that said, I'll see you beautiful, magical creatures on the other side. Bye guys.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out. But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want. By thirst, I'm inspired by worth. I desire your worst, so you can just hide while I work. I ain't tired, you first. I'll write a second, third verse about the lies you go disperse. You never did shit, I know it hurts. Something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want.
One, all of you that selected the Lapuz Lazuli and you were drawn to this card right here, card 22, Examining Self-Identity. This is going to be your reading all about why were you born into your family. This is a bit of a shadow reading, a shadow working reading, a healing reading. I'm going to read a little bit from the book about this card. This is a very healing deck. It is the Exploring Empaths Oracle, and I highly recommend it if you're on a healing journey. They're just really incredible cards. I've enjoyed this deck. This is a donated deck, and it is really one of my favorites. So I'm just going to touch on a couple things. The book talks about this card. One of the essential themes is questioning the roles of labels and titles in our lives, okay? I'm feeling a lot of Aquarius energy. We're entering the age of Aquarius. You may be an Aquarius. You may be ruled by Uranus or have a many powerful aspects within your natal chart that have to do with Uranus, overcoming Uranus energy or dealing with it. It is the energy of the magician. It is the energy of a radical change. It can be an opposing energy as well. And this is about kind of redefining labels. Now, labels can be divisive. They can be something that really sets you apart, makes you feel like an other. And that other energy can cause people to, hate on you, reject you. But this book talks about embracing the labels, that labels can be powerful. They can help us define ourselves. They also can give us a sense of belonging, because no matter how you define yourself, there are others who define themselves the same way. My tongue's a little heavy this morning, so bear with me. We have valuing our uniqueness and respecting that of others. And I feel like group one, you were born into your family to help you find your voice in this life, to live your authentic truth. And I feel like you may have been born into a family that really was very heavy, like probably didn't accept the truth of you. If you've been able to come forth with that, you may not have been able to come forth with that yet, just because there's such oppressive energy here. And the last main point is remembering that we are all one at the end of the day. That's a really hard thing to focus on when others around us in our family treat us so terribly. That is a very ascended energy, and it takes a while to get there, because first we got to heal ourselves, right? First we got to find our oneness, our voice, our authenticity. So I'm going to leave the book here in case I want to refer to it, because there's a lot of really good information in that book. But let's get into the blocks here. Why were you born into this family? Well, we know there's blocks. There's no perfect family, okay? I just want to preface, I want to tell you guys before I begin this reading, there's no perfect family. Okay, every family, I don't care how perfect it seems. There's toxic positivity, just like there's toxic, negativity. Negativity. I don't know, is negativity always toxic? That's a great question to reflect on. Because the universe is both positive and negative. Can negative things not be toxic? Can they be something that works out in a positively negative way? That's a good question for this group. I think that's why it's coming forward, okay? Just take what resonates and leave the rest behind, okay? So let's get into the blocks here for my group one. Why were you born into this family? We have fated to suffer. So group one, there's been a lot of suffering. That's the oppressive energy. That is I feel like some of you guys have literally just had hands upon you, okay? So I don't want to get real deep into this, because I do not want to trigger anyone, okay? But a lot of you have had hands put upon you. You've had violations of will. You've had deep trauma, which has made it even harder to express. With the Lapuz Lazuli here, your throat chakra is probably it's very shrunken. I'm seeing shrunken, blacked out throat chakras. You're probably keeping secrets. This could be about identity. It could be about trauma. It could be about the hands being placed upon you. There may be like physical suffering here. There may be illness. There may be poverty. There may be, I am starting to take on this energy. There may be hunger here, lack, neglect. I don't want to go too deep into it. So let's pull another card here. Tell me more about this. Okay, they're telling me to switch cards. Okay. Tell me more about this fated to suffer. It is through suffering at times that we find the deepest truth of ourselves, unfortunately. And I feel anger. I feel anger at so much suffering. I understand this. I want to cry because I understand this level of suffering. I feel many of you feel very alone. I want to point out that you have the number 22 here. 22 is a master number. I want to tell you a little bit about it. Even if you don't have this number in your numerology, like my destiny number, my birthday number, whatever you want to call it, is 22. So I'm a master number 22. And I feel like you have this energy even if you don't have that number. I want to make that clear. That's why I'm telling you the story, okay, of a master number 22. It's pretty common for master number 22s to have a very difficult first part of their life. It is brutal. It is something that many 22s may not, I don't want to use that word, may not make it through, okay, without serious damage. And many 22s are unable to get to the next level. They're unable to heal. If they are, it is later in life. It's almost like you live multiple lifetimes in this lifetime. You live a lifetime of this, fated to suffer. And as a 22, you have set up this particular lifetime to overcome obstacles. And you have set up the most powerful timeline for you to ascend. You are going to get your PhD in life in one lifetime. And it's going to feel like you're living different lifetimes. You may live several through this journey of healing. And this fated to suffer, some are going to be upset with what I just said. They're going to say, well, you mean I designed people to abuse me? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that a pattern was set up of difficulty for you to overcome. And there was past issues, there was disturbed individuals who took advantage of you in whatever way. That is not okay, all right? What happened to you is not okay. And I feel your suffering as I hold this card. And my heart breaks for you. It breaks for that child. It breaks for that human being, no matter what age you are. I don't care if this happened when you were 40 years old. It hurt that inner child, because that inner child always lives within us. No matter how old we get, we're always that inner child. That is really our core self. And I feel this pain. See how this person's eating. They're eating, it looks like an apple. And this person's like, but I want that, but I can't have it. It's like all the nourishment, all the good has been for others, but not for you. And you've had to watch other people get things, but not for you. And that's difficult. It's hard. Because you begin to think the world doesn't have your best intentions. It's almost like you're unable to feel the love from others. People say they love you, and you may not feel it. And that truly is a tragedy. Because experiencing human love is part of why we're here. You're not here just to suffer. Suffering is the obstacle. But the suffering, the oppression, the more difficult the obstacle to overcome, the more powerful the healing. The more powerful the healer becomes. You are the healer here. A 22, that's what they are. They heal on a massive level. They build huge foundations. So let me tell you about a 22. When they have this pattern of abuse, neglect, failure, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's all kinds of different things to overcome, and they're able to overcome. They begin to build large foundations. Sometimes this is like massive structures. It's businesses, it's philosophies, it's artistic things. They build structures for future generations to build upon. Because once you move through this energy and you heal and you find your authentic voice, you also connect with your higher self. You are here to bring in your authentic self, which is your higher self. You will become the embodiment of your higher self, but you will do it in balance. People won't look at you and be like, oh, that's a guru. Oh, that's a teacher. They may say you're a teacher, but they'll also see that you're human. Because in this day and age, this examining identity, this higher self understands and is in balance, that it's important that humanity see that actual human beings who are flawed can ascend. They can heal from deep levels of trauma. But while you're healing, your goal isn't to heal for the masses. It's to heal for yourself. It's all about you. And what you do will reflect within the collective because you're very powerful. Many of you have a soul calling, but it's being held back behind this throat chakra, which for many of you, that throat chakra being all dark is in your root. It's connected to some kind of parasitic energy in your root. And many of you have been working on healing it, and you're aware of it, and that's why you picked this number. Number 1, we have the poet of Avon, the storyteller, fame, stagnation, pride. Some of you guys are meant to be seen. And I can hear you guys. Ooh, boo, boo, Amy. The prince, the forgotten adversary, sorrow, lost valor, and serendipity. So there's sadness here. There's deep wells of pain from your experience in life. But you will find on your healing journey, as you open up your throat chakra, as you heal your root, and what you'll start to see is your root and your throat chakra kind of link up. They link up and they start to kind of heal in unison. Okay. And then your heart chakra will start to open. And you will become more aware of this calling. Some of you guys already are aware of it and you're uncomfortable. Fame doesn't necessarily mean like superstardom. It can mean like just fame in your family, like being well known, being well respected, someone people can turn to. Yeah, so let's keep going here and get some more energy. Okay, tell me more about my group 1. Why were they born into this family? Okay, not this deck. Okay, we're going to where is that? There it is. Okay, we're going to go into my Akashic Tarot. Okay. All right. We're going to look into more of the Akashic records. Somewhere along the line in your incarnations, you lost your voice. Okay, your voice was silenced in a past lifetime. Okay, we have the Buddha prepares. Okay, we have add some in reverse. Okay, it feels like you were persecuted for your beliefs. It's a 22 in reverse. Okay, you were persecuted for your voice, and it was probably religious. We have the scribe in reverse. Yeah. You were probably a religious leader. We're going to flip all these around. You were probably some kind of religious leader or in a convent or something. Some of you guys had ecstatic experiences of God in a past life. I'm seeing a nun, a priest. I'm seeing a holy woman, holy man, holy person in ecstasy, in religious ecstasy, ecstasis. Okay, and being rejected. I'm hearing blasphemer, heretic. Some of you guys wrote things you wrote things down that were blasphemous, and you were rejected. And it doesn't matter what paradigm. Yeah, it doesn't matter what religious paradigm. I had to pick up the cards that fell on the floor. Okay, so we have caught in the ruins. We have two worlds, the two of scrolls in reverse. And we have the architect. For some of you, these writings still exist. For some of you, they are Gnostic scriptures in whatever paradigm. So they are still considered heretical or outside the canon of whatever religious paradigm this is, or a philosophical paradigm. Okay, so it could run anything from like Buddhism or some kind of different aspect of Buddhism. It could be Catholicism. It could be a different kind of religion that's not coming to mind right now. So don't cling to the label of that, okay, as we talk about embracing self-identity and labels, embracing labels. But I feel like there was an oppression of your voice. You were taught your voice was not acceptable, and that carried into this lifetime. It carried into this lifetime. And I feel like part of the reason why you're born into this family is you're being given the opportunity to heal this karma. We call it karma. There's not another word for it. But this issue from the past where you were so broken down for what you believe. And I feel like you went to your, and I'm sorry, your execution, very convicted of your beliefs. You still believed you heard the voice of God. You still believed that you were channeling the voice of God. Some of you guys are powerful channelers. You are very connected to source. You have the ability to be creative, to write, to bring the voice of the all or certain deities through certain spirits. And that's part of the oppression. That's why you're being oppressed. That's why you've had all this stuff that has shrunk you and made you feel small, so that you could connect deeper with your gifts. You are empathic by birth. You are psychic and a channeler by birth. Some of you guys may have been told this by other psychics and you just don't feel it. And it's because it's locked behind this wall of oppression, this wall of suffering. Okay, and it's part of you finding your authentic self. As you open up more to your authentic self, as you heal your throat chakra, you will find this more and more to be true. You may actually be interacting with spirits all the time. I know this sounds weird, but some of you guys are going to be like, wow, that's true. You may be interacting with spirits and your spirit guides all the time, but you're in denial about it. So you're in denial about it. And when you have this kind of heavy energy in your life, you learn to segment things, to deny things, to help. It helps you live everyday life. When you can segment emotions and segment things that make you uncomfortable, it helps you continue to function. It's a part of disassociation. So you may be disassociating from those things, right? Please seek help if you need it, okay? Let's see what this card says. We have transportation. Tell me more about this. This is a past life deck. We have knighthood. I see someone traveling. Wars and battles. We have a lot of cards. That's too many. Give me one more. You may have been like a Templar or an Inner Order Atlantis. Okay, so we're getting a couple of things here. Okay, so I'm getting the knighthood thing. And I feel like some of you guys were involved in a holy order. That could be any denomination, any religion that has like monks, knights, like holy orders, okay? And I feel like that's when you were like arrested or brought into custody, okay? Because of the things you were writing. you were going somewhere, or they had to take you somewhere to be executed. Okay. Now I'm getting Atlantis, wars, and battles. For some of you guys, your soul goes back to Atlantis and a battle for Atlantis. There's some kind of war battle in Atlantis. I don't want to get real deep into this one though. Okay, so we're going to put that aside. For those of you that resonates, you know who you are and you know what you need to do. Okay, if you don't, it'll come to you. All right. So part of the reason why you're born into this family is to heal up the throat chakra, to find your authentic voice so that you can move forward in the world and your authentic truth. And some of you guys, you may be like, well, I don't want to be famous or well known. I don't want to be a voice for the generations. I don't want to do this stuff. And that's okay. You have free will. You don't have to. But the opportunities for you to heal and have a happy life are there. So do it for yourself. And you may find, as you do this for yourself, your ideas about your life change. Or they don't. You always have free will. You always do. And you can always say no. Anyone who tells you different is lying. Nothing is forced upon you. Even healing is not forced upon you. Okay, we have magnetism. Okay, goes with this fame card, this well-known card. Okay, this is something that you guys have. And as you heal, this is going to come out more and more. And you're going to feel it as an energy of joy. It is sun energy. You may have Leo in your chart somewhere. You may have just a really powerful sun sign. Or the sun may be in some interesting places in your natal chart. You may be a Leo rising or a Leo northern node and an Aquarian southern node. Tell me more. And see, I feel this as your higher self. You're magnetic because you become the embodiment of your higher self. Whether you go on to be the voice of this creative thing or this channeling thing or whatever this is, you become the embodiment of your higher self. And you live your life as such. We have an 18 reducing to a 9. So ending the cycle of suffering that lingers from this past life. What's beautiful about this past life is that in the end, you understood that even though you were caught in the ruins of what you were trying to build, you understood that what you built would withstand time, like the Sphinx. Some of you guys, you have writing or something that you created. It could be art. It could be literally like a monument. This is a timeless reading. Okay, so this throughout when people watch this, like some of you guys created or were creators of I don't want to say, but I'm seeing like pyramids and Sphinx. I'm seeing like I'm gonna butcher this. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this, but like the city of the dead, the Necropolis. I'm not saying it right. It's like a Greek city of the dead. Okay. I'm seeing like the Temple of Hades. That has a name too. I'm not going to try to pronounce that either, you guys. I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff like that. So anyway, but you understood. You walked between worlds and reality was just not ready. They just weren't ready to hear what you had to say because the things you said made God more accessible, more tangible, more etheric, less stern, less rules. It was a feeling. It was an experience. Like you literally experienced the joy and the ecstasies of God consciousness, of the bliss of God. And I'm going to tell you that the whole purpose in bringing forward a past life like this is because you have the ability to access that now. You have the ability to access that energy now, okay? It is part of your pathway. How you choose to access it is completely up to you. If you choose to access it at all, it's completely up to you. Nothing is forced upon you, okay? All right. Some more energy here. We have life force. Some of you guys are feeling real run down. You're feeling real run down. And let me tell you, this heavy ass energy, it can take a toll on you. It can make you sick. You may have generational illnesses. You know, you may have illnesses that pass on that seem to be like running your family. And let me tell you something, the vessel gets sick. We're born with vessels that have dysfunction. We don't want to be toxic here and say all of our illnesses come from spiritual shit. Okay, that is toxic. Readers and people who tell you that are toxic. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. If your vessel hurts, go to the doctor. Okay, because there is something going on with your vessel. A vessel is your ship in this dimensional experience. And if you've ever had a car, you know that often cars wear out, right? They need oil changes, they need new tires, and all kinds of stuff. Okay, same with the vessel. The vessel deals and is part of 3D reality. We have the wind, we have rain, we have stress. We would have to be in an ascended state constantly for the environment to not affect us. And we are not there yet. Okay, we're not. None of us are. And anyone who tells you they're in an ascended state all the time is lying, because they're not. It is not possible right now. We don't live in that kind of world right now. Okay, we live in a world where, yeah, there are people who walk in between dimensions. There are people who, where is that card? Where is that card? There are people who do this. Okay, but they don't do it 24 hours a day. All right, so, you know, stress gets to us all. We are all human. Okay, and we all need to take care of our vessels. So if you're feeling run down, if you don't feel good, go to the doctor. Okay, I have chronic illness, and I ignored my body for many years. I had a lot of pain. I thought it was normal. I starved my body. I abused my body, and my vessel cried out for help, and I didn't seek it. And, you know, there were times I listened to these spiritual people who were like, oh, well, it's a spiritual thing. No, it's not. It's your vessel. Your vessel's reacting to your environment. Your vessel's reacting to the trauma and abuse you've suffered. Please go seek help, okay? You can help your vessel by meditating, by balancing your chakras, by Tai Chi, by connecting with your environment, by grounding to nature, by doing all sorts. It can help. All those things are helpful for your vessel. They are healing. Everything works together. Okay, and what's healing for one person isn't healing for another. Like, my healing modalities are several things. You know, for my chronic illness, I eat a certain way. I meditate. I have to rest a lot, and I take medication. Right? I take prescription drugs too. You know, that are very, very intense. I also take cannabis because it helps me heal. It is my pain medicine, right? So, my approach is very multifaceted. That won't work for everybody. You have to find what works for you, is what I'm trying to say. But don't let anyone tell you that, because I feel like when we tell people your vessel, your sickness is caused by your spiritual state, we put the blame on people. We're blaming them. You're sick because you can't handle the shit that's happened to you. That's not true. This trauma, this stuff that happened to you is not your fault. And that victim blaming bullshit needs to go. If you've been a victim, let me tell you something. I heard someone say, I hate when people do this. And they say, people think, they say I'm not a victim, that victim mentality kind of shit. One of the most powerful things I ever did was put on the label of being a victim. Okay? It's a powerful label, because that is the moment where you say, that shit happened to me. That happened to me. It actually happened to me. And I'm not playing a victim. I am a victim, and I'm angry about it. I'm angry I'm a victim. That's how a label becomes powerful. I'm tired of hearing these spiritual people talk about, like, blaming the victim, blaming people who are sick for their illness. That's toxic. Please, 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 please use discernment when you listen to people. Even me. Use discernment when you listen to me. I'm a human being. And although I'm a channel, I can hear something that doesn't align with you. I can say something that doesn't align with you. Okay. So always use discernment. All right. Okay. Let's get another card here. Take care of your vessel. All right. Honor your life force. We have a couple more cards. We have evolution. What is that song? It's by Korn, that evolution song. You might go listen to it. See how it looks like a structure of DNA here. And then we have light above, light below, connected. And I talk about this in readings, but group 1, you're healing your genetics. You're healing your bloodline, and it's heavy. This is heavy. This is not a yoke that anyone really wants. It's not like bragging rights here. Yeah, you're healing your generations. And many times people who do this end up alone. You end up without family, and you end up with a lot of like heavy energy. And so you have to take care of yourself. Now we have willpower here, and I want to say something because people are like, use your willpower. You don't have enough willpower, blah, 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 blah. Willpower, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you need to have better willpower. No. This to me is about harnessing the power of your will. Okay? It's not about, oh, you need to have more willpower and don't eat those cookies. You need to have more willpower and not do your addiction. No. We're not going to approach it in that negative sense. This is about you connecting to your will. What do you want? Who do you want to be, Master 22? Ask yourself this question. I had to ask myself this question when I was lying in bed and I was about to get up. I'd been in bed for 6 years, pretty much 80 to 90% of the time because of my chronic illness. And this is a question that came to me. Who do you want to be? What is this next chapter about? So I had to find the answer in my will. What was my will at the time? What is my will to be? Once you can connect with that, and it may take time. It took me time. It took me like 3 months to figure out what I wanted. I started moving though. I started the work, and that's important. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going, but I knew I was going somewhere. And eventually I got clarity about my will. This is what I want to do. I want to be my true self. Because in my mind, if I was going to not be here anymore, because that's what we were talking about, I wanted to do it on my own terms. And I wanted to be my true self. I wanted people to really know me and know who I was instead of wearing these masks of expectation and trauma. So that was my motivation, to be who I really am. And that helped me harness the power of my will because I was focused on being who I truly am, not other people's expectations of me. When I did this, my entire life changed. No, it didn't change overnight. It has been a few really tough years. I'm not going to tell you this is easy. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, it's so easy, blah, blah, blah. No, it's hard. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. But it is worth it. It is absolutely 1,000% worth it. You will know exactly who you are. Some of you guys may be confused about who you are. You're confused because of all this heavy suffering energy. Be patient with you. Be careful with you. Be loving to you because you deserve it, because you've been through a lot. And you deserve a loving hand. And that's what I had to do. I had to be nice to myself, which was really hard because I felt like a complete failure. You know, my chronic illness destroyed my family. It destroyed my financial life. I lost everything I pretty much ever worked for. And I ended up losing everyone. Like I had to let everything go. And it was tough. But at the end of the day, you know, I became who I am. I let the truth of me out. And a lot of you guys are seeing it. And if you have been watching my videos since the very beginning, you can literally see that happening. Like if you go back to some of my very first videos and you watch this video, you will see and feel a difference. And I think that's why they had me start my channel when they did. My guides, Lilith, because you can feel and see the progression. And it's not to necessarily, highlight me, but to highlight the process of walking into your authentic voice, of being your authentic self, of removing the masks that are so frequently placed upon us or we have to put upon ourselves to please others, to keep ourselves safe, to feel safe and in control in uncontrollable circumstances. We have God's in nature miracles. Now I'm going to tell you something, and this is going to be probably hard for some of you guys to believe. When I started to do this, harnessing the power of my will, very different from the traditional label of willpower, okay? Harnessing the power of my will, I saw miracles happen, okay? I literally had doctors tell me that I used a wheelchair. I haven't even really talked about that to you guys, but I used a wheelchair. I had trouble with my hips, my back, and I also didn't have any endurance. A lot of people who have chronic illness, they use like wheelchairs and things like that because they can't walk for very long. Either from pain, they can walk, but it's very limited, or they'll fall over. I was literally like falling over, like I would just like be standing and fall the fuck over. And my doctors were like, it's just the disease, So I was in a wheelchair, and I had doctors tell me, you're probably not ever going to really get out of that wheelchair. But I did. That's a huge miracle. I had a doctor, the doctor I have now, the first time I walked into that doctor's office and I wasn't in a wheelchair, he shook my hand. He was shocked, unbelievably shocked. That was a miracle. And what you will find is, to other people, that may be a small miracle. To me, that was one of the most miraculous moments I had experienced. Because everyone, no matter what they said to me, they had given up on me. You could feel it. You could feel them giving up, right? Miracles still happen every day. And I'm going to tell you, no matter how small that miracle is, accept it as a miracle. Don't question it. Don't logical, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't overthink it. Don't label it as coincidence. Accept the miracle. Accept the magic the universe sends you. Accept those things as universal gifts. And the universe will give you more, will bring you more as you do the work. You'll be validated. You'll get synchronicities. Your guides will come in even stronger. Your higher self will begin to really communicate with you because you're getting in alignment with your higher self. We have clarity. Yes, boom. Clarity comes in. As you really focus on the power of your will, on the truth of you, because that's what this is about. This is about you becoming more and more of who you really are. This is not about anyone's expectations. This is not about what your parents think. It isn't about what the world thinks. This is about what you think and what you want to be and who you really are. And you no longer being ashamed of that. It doesn't matter your gender, your sexuality, how you identify. It doesn't matter what other people think about that. All it matters is how you think about that. That's who you are. And I guarantee you, no matter how scary that is, no matter how outside the box you may think you are, there are others who will accept you. But you can't find them if you hide behind a mask. You cannot find your tribe. You cannot find your soul family if you're hiding away. And that's part of the rewards of doing this, is you find your people. And they will be a lot like you, and they will understand you. And we have tradition. For you guys, I feel like you're making your own traditions. And that's part of like this past life. Like you were rallying against traditions. You were breaking this like toxic patterning that said, God, the experience of God, religion had to be this way because you were saying, I'm experiencing the radical ecstasies of God. Like I'm having divine revelation. And that was a no-no. And how that pans out for you, why it was a no-no, will be different for each one of you. Okay? Only you know that. All right? But there's beautiful miracles coming for you as you move through this energy. Okay? And this is why you were born into your family. Okay? All right, group one, that's what I got for you. I hope this resonated for you. And I hope you will subscribe if you haven't. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you beautiful, magical creatures next time. Bye, guys. Hey, group two, all of you that were drawn to this white jade angel, or you were drawn, you were drawn to number 6, loving the self on all levels. This is going to be your reading all about why you were born into your family. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit, read a little bit from the book that comes with this deck. This is Exploring the Empath Oracle. I highly recommend this deck if you are on any kind of healing journey. It's got some really powerful insights. So let's get into this card a little bit and talk about what the energy it's bringing forth. The first theme is releasing the need to be perfect and solve everything. Okay, so you guys probably had expectations of perfection within your family. Anything less than whatever was idealized was unacceptable. You may have had like type A parents, or just on a whole, may have had higher achieving parents or parents who had high expectations of themselves but didn't achieve them, and they projected that upon you. And it may have been like your vessel, they judged your vessel. I feel like you guys feel very judged harshly by family, and in general. You may have found this to be a common theme in your life. And I feel like we have the second theme as appreciating the whole self in mind, body, and spirit. The third theme is making self-respect and self-value the new default perspective. And then I want to read a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Perhaps the most difficult life lesson for any empath or highly sensitive person is to love ourselves, because we are prone to absorbing judgments and hanging on to them for a long time. In addition to our own expectations of perfection, we need to regularly invoke compassion and gentleness towards ourselves. Indeed, self-hatred and regret can lead to the darkest of thoughts and actions. I feel like you guys have been battling a kind of self-hatred probably most of your life, and it is because that many of you guys have felt like a deep level of rejection, not being good enough, constantly being judged by those around you who are supposed to love you and care for you and accept you how you are, right? Not feeling good enough on a constant basis, like being hammered with it. All right, let's pull some cards here and see what comes out. Keep in mind, this is a general reading. So take what resonates here. Use your discernment, okay? Use your discernment. Did you hear that thump? There was a thump. Okay. We have the child I was meant to be. I pull this card out so much from this deck. So I feel like some of you guys had to be an adult very early. You were given some very weird boundaries. Some of you guys may have been only children, or there was a big gap between you and your siblings. Some of you guys were made to like care for your other siblings, maybe be the babysitter. Maybe you were a latchkey kid, and you were expected like to do all these things, take care of all these things, have a lot of responsibility. I feel like some of you guys did not have a childhood. You may have thought you did because you got to play on Saturday, but you really didn't. You really didn't get to have the freedom that most children, or maybe not most children, but the ideal, not even ideal, but you know, what's commonly thought of as childhood, right? Fun, carefree. I don't feel like you were a carefree child. I feel like you were constantly worrying if you were good enough for mommy and daddy or grandparents or auntie or grandma, whoever raised you. And it may be also, I'm feeling this energy of like, you may have had a parent who had a drug problem, or some kind of issues that kept them away. They could have gone to jail a lot or had some kind of like issues. So there's an element here with this group that for some of you, not all of you, feel like you weren't good enough for your parent to like get their shit together. You weren't worth it to them. Like you don't have any value. Your value seems to be low to people who tell you that they love you. And you only feel loved when they see you as perfect. And when you did something wrong, it seemed like they didn't love you anymore. Or you didn't meet their expectations. They were disappointed in you. You felt disappointment as an empath very intensely because you are empathic. And you hung on to the disappointment as a child. You weren't able to like release it because you felt it so much, like the energy of someone being disappointed in you. And it's almost like now you don't want to disappoint anyone. So you tend to be a people pleaser. You tend to overshare. You tend to really go above and beyond and give to the point sometimes where it makes people uncomfortable. They can sense, other empaths especially, can sense there's something off and they feel bad, but they also sometimes feel repelled because they know there's something wrong. You may cling to people. There's no judgment here, okay? Because you're acting from your own trauma, okay? Being constantly criticized and judged by people who are supposed to love you is traumatic as a child, okay? We're supposed to be loved and accepted for who we are and not constantly like judged against siblings or judged against other people or judged by parents who didn't meet their own high expectations, so they projected upon you. Okay, let's get some more cards here. Okay, we have the Keeper of Whispers, the Mad Prophet, Curiosity, Madness, Forbidden Knowledge. Okay, for some of you, you had parents who were mentally unwell. Okay, so you had a different kind of experience than other kids. You may have thought it was normal. You may have had a parent that pulled away on the regular. They may have like spent a lot of time in their bedroom watching TV, alone in the dark. You may not have gone out like to the park. You may have not gone on regular family like outings and things. Like I said, you may have had a parent who struggled with alcohol or some kind of addiction, may have gotten in a lot of trouble and just not been around a lot. And so you were raised either like by another parent, or you were raised by someone in the family, or there was someone who stepped in and filled in the gaps. For others, you had like a functional addict who raised you who had mental issues, but they were emotionally distant. That also can make you feel not okay. Lots of not okay energy for group 2. Just constantly judge, like you're not good enough. That's why they don't stick around. I'm not good enough. That I'm not good enough for them to quit drinking. I'm not good. I feel the sorrow of this child. I feel this. It just feels like a pain in my chest that never goes away. You guys may have some real issues with anxiety. Some of you guys may have like actual heart problems too. So, if you need to see a doctor, please go seek a doctor's help, okay? That's what they're there for. All right, let's pull from the Akashic Tarot here and find out more information. Okay, tell me more about this. This constant, I feel that someone constantly criticized. I feel like as you grew and you began to make your own choices, because I feel like for some of you, this is like a mother energy or a feminine energy, and that's energy, not vessel. This is someone who like picked out your clothes, insisted on you looking a certain way. And so when you started dressing yourself, wearing makeup or cutting your hair or whatever, there was a lot of judgment about it because you wanted to express yourself one way and they found that way to be very unacceptable. We have the King of Roses here. Okay, tell me more. The Lookout. I feel like this person put on airs often. They may have acted happy. I feel like there may have been some bipolar stuff going on as well. You may be bipolar or have like shifts in your energy that are very rapid. You may feel unbalanced sometimes, or this may be the energy you dealt with as a child. But there were times where everything was just seemed rosy and it was a weird kind, I'm picking up on a weird energy. Like at times, like you were held like this rose in your hand, in their hands. Like, this is my child, this is my rose. It's perfect, right? So when you were perfect, they held you close. And in those moments, you felt the perfection of love, what you thought was the perfection of love. It was an illusion. I'm getting that song by Lady Gaga, Perfect Illusion. But then we have the lookout in reverse. But when you were not perfect, their idea of perfect, it was explosive. There are many times you were yelled at, you were overly criticized, and there is this energy of forcing perfection. Like, we're just going to force you to be perfect. So a lot of fighting. Some of you guys may have lost your doors off your room as a kid, trying like to force this perfection. You may have been a student that no matter how hard you tried, you got A minuses, you couldn't get those A pluses. No matter how clean you dressed, it wasn't clean enough. No matter how clean you got your room, it just was never clean enough. It was just never enough for this person. And this person feels just very unbalanced, very unhinged. And I'm not defending their behavior. I'm just trying to express the energy I'm feeling here. Okay, we have Archangel Raphael coming through. And we have on track. Okay. I feel like the angels want you to know that as far as where you are in your life, because I feel like you judge yourself for where you are. You are still the inner critic. You are still criticizing yourself. And let me tell you, when the inner critic gets turned on at such a young age and you have your whole life, it's almost like you have a relationship with the inner critic. Instead of this being something that pops up every now and then, it literally is like an energy that formed into kind of like its own being and became a character that lives in your mind all the time. And it's always criticizing you. It's always telling you, oh, you could have said that word better, or you could have dressed better, or when you went for that job interview, you weren't professional enough and they're never going to hire you. It's that kind of thing. It's just constantly running its mouth, right? And so now it's telling you that it's either too late, you missed the boat, it's not going to happen for you. Those kind of self-defeating thoughts. This is self-sabotage. It's the inner critic that has ascended into the energy of like self-sabotage. Now you're sabotaging yourself. And I feel like there's something that you are trying to do, you are doing, however that resonates, that this inner critic is desperately trying to get you to stop. I've been in this energy, so I understand. The inner critic is desperately trying to get you to fail, to throw the game. Because if it can do this, then it gets to keep criticizing you. If you don't throw the game and you keep going, it gets quieter. And the more that you keep going and you keep saying, yes, inner critic is screaming in my ear, but you know what? As an empath, I feel guided to keep going. I'm going to silence my inner critic by continuing to go and answer the flow of my life. And slowly over time, that inner critic shrinks. That self-sabotage begins to shrink. And you begin to notice more and more. You become more and more aware of where that inner critic is speaking and popping up. You become aware that it has monopolized your thoughts. And as you shrink it, you can see the areas of your life where you need to deal with that inner critic. And you get to look at yourself in a more honest way. And instead of picking yourself apart, you start to see your strengths. You start to see the things that you can build upon. You start to see the things about yourself that you can change. And eventually that inner critic is defeated. So that is why the energy of self-criticizing, doubt, that kind of thing may be kicking up really hard for you, group 2, right now, okay? You were born into this family to overcome this. You were born in this family to rise above this energy of this inner critic, of this self-defeating energy, okay? Because I feel like it's a catalyst for you to really accomplish what you want to in life, not the expectations of others that have been placed upon you. If your parents say that you're going to college right now, this is an example. This is just an example. You could apply this to any area, okay? Say your parents have said, you know, I want you to go to an Ivy League school, okay? And I want you to study business or law. And you don't want to do that. First of all, you don't want to go to Ivy League school and you don't want to study law. You know, you want to go to a state school and you want to study art, which is completely different. And you know that if you were to do that, your parents would be like, you know, if there's money involved, they may be like, well, we're going to cut you off and judge you. And we're going to sit around and talk about you. And the family is going to hate on you. So it's going to make you the black sheep. I want you to know that in so many ways, you already are the black sheep, and you probably know that. You're already the outcast. You're already the one that they talk about. You're the scapegoat. Whatever frame you want to put on it, okay? I hate that we use the term black sheep, so I don't really like that term. I don't like that label because it's an energy. It's not a color, okay? So it's an energy I'm trying to explain. It's not a color. Okay, so, and I feel like there's fear there because, like, when you really start to stand in your power and you stop fulfilling other people's expectations, it is terrifying because there will be consequences in your family for you doing that. And a lot of it will be the rejection. It will be the severe judgment. But some of you guys know this, and you've already experienced it. Some of you guys haven't. But it is a powerful part of your pathway, of your journey. It helps you get to the life you want to live, not the life that other people want you to live. Okay? It is a life that you want to live. Okay? And we have Archangel Raphael here. And I feel like there is angelic healing energy around you that will help you get through this. Some of you guys have already done this and you have reaped the outcome, the consequences of your decision. Okay. And so your guides want you to know that you're on track. Okay. You did the right thing. If you're thinking about some kind of radical decision that you know is going to upset people, you're on the right track, okay? Yes, it'll probably break your heart. Yes, it's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you this is easy. I've had to do stuff like this. This is very hard. You're going to stand in your power, and you're probably going to lose people. You're going to upset people. There may be fighting. And the best thing you can do is just say, this is my decision. I've thought about it. I've reflected upon it. And the life you want me to live is not the life that I want to live for myself. And as my parent or whoever this is, I would think that you would want me to be happy. I would think my happiness would be more important than appearances. Because I don't value the same appearances that you do. I don't value appearances the way you do. It's a difficult conversation. But I really think that, and if you've already done this, you did the right thing. And this is your validation. Okay, it's your validation that you're right where you need to be, doing right what you should be doing. Okay, I know it's scary. Some of you guys are really feeling alone right now. And we have the Akashic Library. Okay, this is a powerful lifetime because you're healing some things. I talked about past lives in the first one. I'm going to go ahead and pull from this past life deck here. So we are healing things from past lives through our families, the arts, and we have biblical. So biblical times. I'm not necessarily feeling a biblical artist here, but you might have been. You might have been an artist who did art that was reflective of biblical stories or biblical times, or I'm feeling angelic art as well. Like you may have done, I'm seeing like masterpieces of art as well. So, but an artist in a past life who has been made to conform to perfection, which the whole idea of perfection kills creativity. It is just a creativity butcher because art in itself is imperfect. It's supposed to be. When you get in the flow of creativity, if you get bogged down in making it perfect, like when I'm writing, if I get hung up on all my typos because my chronic illness has just butchered my spelling and my grammar, if I get caught up on that shit, it does not flow. I have to allow all the mistakes to flow. And I think that radiates for anything creative. Like you have to just be willing to say, it's going to be fucked up at first, but I'm going to go back and add my own perfection. And your perfection is imperfection, perfectly imperfect. I say that often, and it's true. You're healing this, and this is a gift you have. You were born with this artistic ability. You, group 2, have the heart of an artist, and you are born here to create and bring these creative visions into the world. And I feel like in many ways, your family situation is a catalyst. It is sometimes, we need a positive and a negative. And sometimes these negative experiences, this oppressive energy, this perfection energy, gives us the catalyst to become more creative or flow into that gift or ability we have. And I feel like for you, that's part of what's going on here. The negative experiences can be a source of creative flow. They can give you the meat, if you will, for your creativity. You can use those experiences to help you communicate and create things into the world. I feel this energy of just bringing forward your creative self. So, if you are feeling called to be creative, do it. Okay? Because, and I don't like to call out, like, the first group had some like well-known energy. You guys were, some of your work is still out there, okay? And some of you guys, now this is a timeless reading, and some of you guys are like artistic masters. You have this ability. And by healing this perfectionism, this self-criticism, you're going to allow this energy to kind of come forward. And creativity doesn't blossom the same way in the same people in the same lifetimes, okay? It can. But your creativity may have to do with business. It may be that you're a very creative parent. It may be that you're a super creative partner. It could be that, you build the next architectural masterpiece. It could be that your garden is a wonder. It's just an artistic wonder, okay? It could be you're an artistic cook or chef. It's just different for different people, okay? But there is a heart of creativity within you that wants to come forward, okay? But the perfectionism, the self-critic is killing it. It literally, I'm seeing like, this is a very strange visual impression, psychic impression, but I'm seeing someone who literally has it's very artsy. It's a person who has, like something wrapped around their mouth, like a gag, that is like white material, and on it is written silence, and their hands and feet are bound. It's like your creativity, your creative, soulful self has been silenced by this self-critic. And I see the self-critic, and it's kind of funny. It's not funny to have a self-critic, but how it's appearing is like the traditional villain with the long mustache and the top hat with striped pants, walking around, laughing, ha 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 ha, and rubbing their mustache with both their fingers, like ha ha ha, I got you now. And on the and I'm seeing like a railroad, like ties, like a railroad tracks with the train coming, and they're like, I got you now. I'm gonna silence that. And I think it's because some of you guys are very powerful artists. People often don't really talk about how healing art can be. The ability to express your experience into the world through art can be extremely healing for the people who observe your art and connect to it. They see the wonder in the world. They see the magic. They connect to the emotions of sorrow, of that self-critic. You are not alone in having a self-critic. You are not alone in growing up with people who overly criticized you. There are others who will respond to your work in powerful ways. For some of you guys, like, you will make a living. You have the potential to make a living doing this stuff. Okay? Like, it's very powerful, but more so, you have the ability to heal others with your artistic voice. Okay? Some of you guys have the ability with this biblical here to bring through spiritual ideas, spiritual paradigms, etheric, otherworldly visions, otherworldly ideas through your art, through artistic expression. That won't be for all of you, but for some of you. Some of you guys are shamans. You are shamanistic in nature, and your art is part of your shamanistic expression. Okay? It's a really beautiful energy. And listen, I'm not saying, like I told the first, like, this kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. This is a process of growth. It's a process of healing. And it takes time and patience. That self-critic is very difficult to get a hold of. It is. And some of you guys are working on it right now, and you know what I'm talking about. It took me years, and I still have to deal with that motherfucker, okay? And yeah, I cuss. Welcome to the Oracle of Lilith. My name is Amy. So, you know, I still have to deal with it. You know, I still have to deal with my stuff. So, you know, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware when they're going off, you know, and that's half the battle, is knowing when your self-critic is just flapping their gums. Okay, we have Sisterhood of the Rose, Beauty and Devotion, Priestess, Mystic, Teacher. Boom. See these cards? These are beautiful cards. These are amazing cards. I'm feeling like there's a gateway that's going to open for you. It's going to help you bring through this energy if you choose to do this. Like, if you choose to allow, and some of you are like, I don't feel creative. You don't feel creative because it's locked behind the wall. It's like it's locked in your vault, your Akashic vault, behind this kind of doorway of the self-critic. You got to get past the self-critic boss in the video game of your life to get into the treasure, the vault of this priestess, mystic, teacher, beauty, and devotion. And that's no gender. Okay, so you really rise in energy when you can do this. It's a very difficult thing to overcome. You have to give yourself a break. Some days your self-critic is just going to scream. And you have to be like, you know what? I'm not dealing with you today. We're just not going to engage. You keep going. I'm going to ignore you. Sometimes you need a vacation from that voice. And give yourself one. You don't have to constantly be working on this. The Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Yes. Some of you guys have a very important things to bring forward. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether it's just 5 people or 5,000 people or 50,000 people. Okay? What matters is the information you bring forward touches the right people, because those people are going to touch more people, and so on and so on. So it's like you touch one life, eventually you can touch 1 million. Like one drop in the ocean can shake the whole boat. You know, it's a radical thought, but it's true. So you healing yourself, you walking in into your divinity, your inner divinity, you no longer listening to people and their expectations and their judgment and their criticism of you, and you walking in your truth, whatever it is. Understand that the examples I use are just examples. You can replace that with whatever is going on in your life, okay? We have protection, call back your power, cut the cord, soul retrieval. Okay, so some of you guys, it would be very, very helpful for, especially in this family situation, for you to call back your power from the people who criticized you and judged you so harshly and weaponized love against you. Okay, call back your power, cut the cords. There are different ways to cut cords. You can do it yourself. You can pay someone to do it. You can seek a healer. You can literally just say, I call back my power from all locations in time and space. I call back the power that is mine that was never yours in the first place. I call back all judgments and criticisms that were designed to disempower me. I call back all hate. I call back all malicious intent. I call back anything that judged me and was done against my will. All the powers that worked in negativity against me, all the powers that took from me that what was not theirs to take, that kind of stuff. Like, you're calling back the powers that were the power that was stolen from you as a child. Because as a child or in vulnerable situations, you don't have to be a child. You can be vulnerable. You can be 40 and be very vulnerable, and people do malicious and hurtful things to you and steal your power from you and make you feel more vulnerable and small. Okay, so and calling back that power, basically, you retrieve those missing pieces. If you feel like there's pieces missing, it also helps quiet the inner critic, because the inner critic is filling in the gaps where that power was taken. You can look at it as a puzzle, like your puzzle pieces that are missing that you may feel. Not everybody will feel this, but if you're feeling like puzzle pieces are missing, it's because you feel like someone took that from you. They took those puzzle pieces. They took that power from you when they mistreated you, when they were malicious to you, when they treated you poorly, when they made you feel small and over criticized you. And that inner critic, that self-saboteur, just kicked it up, and they filled in those gaps with criticism, with self-judgment and self-hatred. And by calling back your power, by calling back the power that was done at times where it was very malicious, you are empowering yourself with the power that was yours in the first place. They're keeping stolen power. It doesn't belong to them. It is you. It's yours. So you're calling back what is rightfully yours. You're not hurting anyone. You're not even returning shit to sender. You're just claiming what's yours, and you will find that you grow in strength. And that self-critic gets quieter and quieter because they're disempowered. You will find that you are more clear about your thoughts. You will find that you will be able to recognize what is really your thoughts and what are the impressions from this self-sabotage. You'll become more clear about your relationships with the people who were judgmental. I want to say judgmental, but that's not even a word. Judgmental and self-critical, who held love as a weapon. You will become more clear about the toxicity of those connections. And some of you guys will seek distance. You will seek no contact for a while. No contact doesn't have to be forever, or it can be. It's really up to you. Understand that you drive the ship. Your vessel is your ship in this dimension, and you drive it. You are driving it. You are not your vessel. It is your ship. And there's an inner part of you that is driving it. Okay? And you get to make these decisions. Okay, so that's why you were born into your family. I hope this resonated. If it did, please drop me a comment below. I would love to hear from you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd love to have you as a member of my tribe. If you'd like to see more readings like this one, give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you beautiful, magical creatures next time. Bye, guys. Hey, Group 3. All of you that were drawn to the turquoise stone, and you were drawn to 39, experiencing the reality of change. This is going to be your reading all about why you were born in to your family. Now, keep in mind, it's a general reading, so just take what resonates here. Okay, I want to hit some points in this book. This is a really cool book that goes with this deck. I highly encourage you guys, if you're drawn to this deck, to consider purchasing it. It's a very healing deck, and there's a lot of really powerful messages. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Appreciate the donation. So a few of the points of this card is understanding that nothing in this world will last forever, approaching life with a sense of curiosity instead of dread, celebrating that we can create a positive echo in the ripple of the world. I feel like you guys have had a lot of change in your life. You may have had a lot of people come and go. You may have moved around a lot as a child. You may have had like step parents, or your parents may have had different partners, or you may have lived with different family members. Your parents may have had a lot of different jobs. You may have experienced lack and prosperity. You may have experienced health. and illness. There may have been a lot of just radical shifts in your life of experiencing highs and lows. And this book has a very powerful point that I wanted to bring to mind. Every moment is the now. Every moment is now, okay? There is nothing that is not now. When we experience the past, it was now at that time. And all of our future experiences will be the now in that moment. There is only now, okay? That is a very vast and expansive idea, okay? I'm getting a heavy Jupiter Sagittarius energy here. And this card talks about everything is in constant change, constant flow. Nothing is stagnant. And this card encourages curiosity about life. You guys may have experienced a lot of dread because there was constant change. For a while, part of my life, I had a spouse who was in the military, and there was a tremendous amount of change. Maybe you were a military kid, or you were married to a military spouse, or you were married, or you were the military spouse, or you were in a situation where you had to move around a lot. Maybe for money reasons, there may have been a lot of different reasons, but it can give you a sense of like change as a really horrible thing. A thing that you just dread every time you have to move because you have to make new friends. Everything becomes unstable. It destabilizes what foundation is built. It's like, because when things have radical changes, when you experience the good, the bad, in short amount of time or constantly, you understand that as the change occurs as a child, you experience this destabilization. Because example, this is just an example, like you have to move again. So say you've gotten to a place, you've been there a couple of years, okay? You've established normalcy. You've moved in, you've settled. You started school, you've made friends. And then you have to move again. The orders come in. If you're military, like the orders come in. And so you start prepping. Like 6 months out, you get the orders. You start prepping to go to the new place. So the family is already starting to think, okay, so, there might be a new job by the spouse that has to be found. We start thinking about schools, and you start thinking about the friend you're going to leave. Like there's a whole destabilization that happens. And so it's like you find your footing, and then the rug is pulled out from underneath you. So there's not a lot to cling to. And a lot of times you find that home becomes a person, like a parent. And inevitably, that parent will let you down in some way, or that person, whatever it is you cling to for stability as a child, lets you down. So I feel like your life has been full of radical changes, and they are not all good. Some of these changes have been brought about because of toxicity, could be abuse, could be drug addiction, could be all kinds of things, right? We're human, and we deal with human issues. We have atonement. Look at all those swords in the back. I feel like you've been stabbed in the back a lot, and this is not just in childhood. It's like you've been destabilized. It's like a pattern that repeats in your life, and it probably started from childhood. And I feel like for a lot of you guys had like a quote-unquote pleasant childhood, except for this constant destabilization by illness, by addiction. And I hate to say that you've had a pleasant childhood and then use the word addiction, because that's very hard to kind of correlate those two. But if you've had that experience, then you might have been sheltered from it to a degree, but as children we're never completely sheltered from it. So just understand, I'm trying to communicate that even if you had a pleasant childhood, I know that you were still affected by these changes in a negative way. Okay, so I feel like you're repeating these patterns. Like you're not able to give yourself the stability in your life now because you are used to the constant destabilization of your life. And in fact, probably subconsciously, you rig your life that way, where and it's a pattern that you keep playing out. Okay. And you're playing it out because, believe it or not, it is your normal. Sometimes our normals are abnormal, and your need for change And sometimes toxic change is very real. We have downcast pride. Ah, I feel like this constant change puts you in situations where, of course, you were constantly judged because you were brought in as the new kid. Even if, like, I'm using military families, but it could be any situation. When you're the new kid, when you're the new person at work or whatever, people are looking at you. They're judging the way you look, the way you are, what you eat. And some kids rise into this energy of I am who I am, and they dance to the beat of their own drum. And some kids recoil and they get really hurt and they're unable to really come forward as they truly are. You may be an introvert, and this caused you to become more introverted. And it may be that you're not really an introvert, but this situation of constant change forced that introvert energy upon you. You feel safer. You feel like if you put up these walls where people can't get to you, you don't feel the judgment. You don't feel the harshness of being rejected by people. You may have gone through a thing where, like, your parents kind of pumped you up, like, this time you're going to go into school and we're going to get you new clothes and we're going to, it's a time for you to, like, to reestablish yourself. And, basically, without saying it, they were trying to say, we're going to get you in with the cool kids this time. We're going to, you know what I mean? They were trying to make it positive, but in a way, it was like they're also kind of judging you too. There was a lack of acceptance there because they knew you weren't happy. And these were parents who were probably broken themselves, right? They had their own issues here. I'm going to switch decks here. Let's get some more energy. So you're very hurt. You've been betrayed a lot. You've had, probably your love life has been very unstable. It's been destabilized a lot. You probably have been with people, or you're with someone right now who is not very stable emotionally, or they're constantly changing it up. Maybe they're repeating the patterns of abuse or addiction in some way. Maybe you are. There's no judgment here. We're just dealing with the reality of why you were born into this family. Okay, we have Mother of Dawn, the emissary, beauty, agency, compassion. Okay. You are learning. This is one of the challenges. I feel like this is why you were born into this family, is because you're learning how to nurture and heal yourself. You're learning how to take care of yourself. You're learning how to be independent. I feel Cancer energy here very strongly, like overwhelmingly strongly. Pisces, not Scorpio as much. Feeling some Sagittarius as well. Feeling that Taurus energy I feel so much often. Let's pull from the Akashic Tarot. Let's see what else is going on. We're going to get into your Akashic records. So tell me why this person was brought into this family. And the thing is that I feel like you're being given the opportunity to learn the power of change, to embrace change and look at change in a whole new way. We have the light of the world in reverse. So I feel like you have seen some of the darkness of this instability that change can bring. You know that it's almost like you've learned to fear change because it has been such a, almost, I hear the term cruel joke. It's like you get your hopes up about the change and then it bottoms out. We have the War of Roses in reverse. Yeah, it was always a constant battle. It was like a constant struggle. And as a young person, as a child growing up in the family, being in a constant struggle, and it may be that your parents fought a lot about these changes, about this constant destabilizing energy, and that in itself, like hearing, even if it was just like people yelling, it's not just yelling. Yelling is very damaging to children. It can damage their self-esteem. It can make them hypervigilant, like they're always on edge, because yelling can make kids feel unsafe. I was a yeller. I yelled a lot. I was very angry. So I understand, sometimes, parents yell to release tension. And at the time, they don't realize what they're doing. It's not that they do it on purpose. And I'm not giving excuses here, but it's just the reality of living in this family, right? We have the Akashic field. Okay. And we have commitment. Okay. So why you were born into this family, and why you're dealing with this overwhelming sense of like destabilization is because you are learning about commitment. And this isn't necessarily like committing to another person. Because before you can love someone else, honey, you have to love yourself. RuPaul was very, very, very true about that. Okay? You must learn to love yourself. You must commit to yourself. The first person you should ever marry is yourself. Okay? Be committed to loving and honoring your truth. And be willing to see within yourself these patterns where you destabilize your life, where you do actions that are self-sabotaging. Group 2 had very strong self-sabotaging energy. You may have been drawn to that group as well. Maybe you destabilize your relationships to kind of play this out. And you may be doing it, like I said, on a subconscious way, in a subconscious way. There may be a lot of fear here with relationships, and it could be romantic, it can be platonic, it can be in your family. You may have paranoia because you've been judged so much. So you always are trying to stay 2 steps ahead of people judging you. So it makes you have this like huge moat. I'm seeing like a huge moat in between like a gateway, a giant gate, and a castle. And in order for anyone to get to you, they got to like swim that moat because there's no drawbridge, because you don't invite anyone in to the deepest parts of yourself. They have to swim through that moat, and that moat is full of all kinds of shit and crocodiles and all kinds of bugs and stuff. Like you've rigged it where it's very hard to get to your energy. And why you've been born into this lifetime with this family is for you to heal this need to keep people at bay, because honey, you may be in denial of this, but you need people. Human beings need other people. And I know sometimes when you're alone after you've done something that may be destructive to a relationship and you have regret when you're alone, because this is when you're alone, you would have regret and sorrow for another relationship or another friendship or another fuck up within yourself that has messed something up for yourself. And you're sitting there loathing yourself. I know that in the end, you feel very lonely and isolated in that castle, surrounded by that dirty moat with all those crocodiles. And there is a point where you have to realize, the wind is really blowing. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's a point in your pathway where you become aware that, first of all, you dug the moat. You filled it with the crocodiles. You took up your drawbridge on your castle. It was all you. And you have the power to clean the moat, to remove the crocodiles and lower the drawbridge. But it's all within your power. Only you can do it. Nobody else. You can go to therapy. You can do all kinds of stuff. But no one can make you do it. It has to be something you want to do. But in order to do those things, you have to face your fear. You have to face your rejection. You have to face your fear of judgment, of being hurt. You've been hurt a lot. This downcast pride, you've been hurt a lot. The atonement, you've been brutalized emotionally by this constant change. And change has been a very negative thing. And it's almost like, well, it is. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, anything that you work with is asking you to make a radical change within yourself. They want you to change this need for distance from yourself. Because inside, what I'm seeing is inside this castle is this person who is snuggled up in a corner with a bear, like a fluffy bear and a blanket. And they're in a corner and there's another moat around them. It's like this inner child is separated from you. This is separated from you. So in order for you to clean up the moat and get rid of the crocodiles, you have to love and have compassion for yourself. You have to commit to this inner part of yourself that you're protecting. That no matter what, it's going to be okay. And this inner child doesn't need to feel alone. You need to give that child stability. You have to do that work. You have to self-nurture. Cancer energy. You have to self-mother. Mother of the dawn. This mothering energy. It's not gender, it's energy. It's nurturing, it's compassion. It's giving stability. It's choosing to be stable. And stability for you could feel very stagnant. It could feel very much like You know, nothing's moving. I'm bored. Let's create drama. Let's create more situations of shit that happens that's going to sabotage a relationship or sabotage myself, because that's normal. They're asking you to change your normal. Your normal may feel boring for a while. And it's just you taking care of your heart and not listening to other people's expectations of you, giving yourself some stability. And it may look like this. This is just an example, okay? It may look like you getting up every morning, taking a shower, giving yourself breakfast, getting off to work. It may be you not listening to office politics and you just putting your head down and doing your work. It may be you not going to lunch with people, but having a peaceful lunch where you meditate for 5 minutes and eat your lunch and go back to work. It may be you getting in the car and on the way home, listening to music that relaxes yourself. You get home, you go for a walk, you walk your dog, you make yourself dinner, and you go sit in the bathtub for 30 minutes. And then you watch TV that makes you feel comforted instead of watching things that make you anxious. And you go to bed at a decent hour. That might be what stability looks like for you. You give yourself stable activities, a stable life. And it may sound really boring because you're used to uprising. You're used to, things not going right, the change always happening. And you do that until it feels normal. You do that until the flow begins to feed you. The flow of stability, the flow of routine. I feel like you guys have had so much change that routine feels very foreign. And I feel like your soul, your psyche will be comforted and nurtured by routine, by sameness. Some of you guys have anxiety, and the anxiety needs sameness. It needs nurturing. It'll help you become more protective of yourself. You're committing to that inner child, that inner part of yourself that has been so radically destabilized on a regular basis that it's craving this. It will help you cross that moat to your inner child. So both of you can begin to work on that outer moat where you're keeping other people at bay, because you're learning to love on yourself. That inner child, you will begin to communicate to yourself through this commitment to self what you really need. What makes you feel safe? What kind of relationships do you want? Who are you really? When you have all this destabilizing energy, sometimes you lose, you've had to reinvent yourself so much to fit in, to adapt to these changes, that you may have lost who you are. And this inner child work, this inner you will come forward, and you'll start to act on things that you really like. Part of what happens with inner child is you discover the things you really like to do that are enjoyable. Do those things. Sometimes when we're in this kind of energy where destabilization is normal and change, radical negative change is normal, we'll find things that we like to do, and then we will purposely not do them. We'll deny ourselves those things, like we live in the state of self-denial. And it's almost subconscious, but it is another way to destabilize ourselves, because destabilization feels normal. So change that and give yourself those things that feel good. Like I often use Scooby-Doo, but it's just one of those things, okay? Scooby-Doo gives me good vibes about my childhood. It gives me good, happy, uplifted energy. So I watch Scooby-Doo. That's one of the things I do for my inner child. Okay, so I'm using that as an example. It can be anything for you guys, but it's just one of the things I do to nurture that, because she has never been really nurtured. And so that's what I do now. I'm committed to her. I'm committed to being the adult that she needed as a child. And that is something that I feel like your guides are asking you to do. Become the adult you needed. Become the stable adult that you needed. Okay? And you will grow. You will see that inner child begin to really grow and blossom. Hilarion. You will also become more connected to your intuition, to your gut. I feel you're very empathic, but your empathic abilities have been bogged down because of this need to kind of be in this constant state of change, of radical change all the time. And I feel like as the label of change changes within you, you will see it reflected in your life. Okay, you will see that positive changes start to happen. The self-sabotaging need for drama, need to pull the rug out beneath yourself begins to decrease. and positivity begins to flow. It doesn't happen overnight. I don't want you to think like this is something that heals overnight or goes away overnight. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It takes time and patience. You have to be committed. This commitment is a relationship you build with yourself so you can build healthy relationships with other people and clean up that moat and let down your gate so you can let people in. And it also helps you sharpen your discernment so that when people come through your gate and over that moat and into your castle, you can know if those people are destabilizing or they're stabilized people. They're people that you want around. They're nurturing people. They're people who are good for you. It's all a learning process, and it's something that a lot of people learn throughout life, but you probably haven't really learned or haven't had a lot of experience with because of the stabilizing energy you've had as a kid, okay? Or the energy you've needed. All right. You know what? I'm not going to pull from these first. Where is my other deck? I was talking and I put these cards on it. Okay. I'm feeling these. Okay. I'll pull from those other ones in a minute. Okay. Tell me more about my group 3. Tell me more. So lots of healing for you, group 3. That's why you were born into this family. Okay. Lots of healing. We have freedom. So I feel like you guys may feel in bondage to this kind of pattern. Like this pattern of destabilization may run through your family and it may manifest differently. Like it may manifest as someone getting a job that they have to move all the time. It may manifest as drug addiction in another part of your family. It may manifest as illness in another part of your family. But it just seems to be that there's this issue of commitment. Like once the family commits to something, then something happens and there's a change. And then they commit to something and then something happens and there's another change. And it's just constant changes. And it's not like a flow of good and bad changes. It seems to be a flow of like radically difficult changes. We have the tree of life, but there's healing for you, healing of your family tree, okay? Healing of your family. Like if you have children, it'll heal your connections with them. Because as we heal our own inner child, as we heal our own stuff, it helps our relationships with our children and with other people. And if you have been like a distant person, it will help you become more emotionally connected to other people. If people have said to you, you're just emotionally distant, you're not emotionally available. Well, you haven't been. Because you've been emotionally cut off from yourself, that inner child, because you've been hurt so much. You've had all these, like, I feel like you've had the 10 of swords in your back, like, for a long time. And the swords just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And it can build a kind of martyr complex. And there's no judgment here, you know. Anyone who's had as much, like, many swords as you've had might have this happen. Where you're just like, you know, I keep getting hit. I do the best I can. I give what I can. And people just keep messing me over. They keep fucking me over. And, you know, I just don't know. And that energy can really color relationships. And people get the wrong idea, okay? And it could be that this was a parent of yours and you received this from them, or this is you. Just take what resonates here. But I'm feeling like that energy is being healed. Of like, always, it's almost like expecting the bad changes, expecting bad shit. I went through a time where I expected the worst all the time. Like there's nothing good going to happen. My body never felt good. My mind never felt good. My spirit never felt good. And surely nothing good ever happened. It was like my life was just suffering all the time. I was miserable. And it was only when I really committed to myself, to my inner child, and I started trying to be the adult that I needed as a child, and I saw the aspects of myself that were hurting and really malnourished. Like my inner child was very malnourished from emotion, and I allowed myself to be human and hurt. Being hurt, being wounded is part of the human experience. And denying yourself the tears and the anger is denying yourself the human experience. And when you can laugh, you can cry. When you can cry, you can laugh. If you turn off either one of those emotions, you're numbing yourself. And this is about you being free, you walking into freedom, you walking into balance, you walking into vitality with the tree of life, returning to life, or actually walking into life in the moment of now. The moment of now presence is extremely powerful. It is connected with vitality. When you live in the moment, you are living in vitality. You're living in the connected, vital moment. And we have exploration. There is so much more for you to explore beyond this castle, beyond this realm where you've kept yourself safe from harm, but you quite often destabilize yourself for normalcy because you're so used to that castle rocking with earthquakes that if it didn't rock occasionally, you would feel very uncomfortable. These changes will feel uncomfortable, but it's positive. And you're probably not used to positive changes. And you're probably not used to making a lot of positive changes that affect you in a positive, profound way. And it's time for you to give yourself that. You deserve that, okay? You deserve stability. You deserve to have powerful foundations that will withstand the test of time. You deserve to have peace. And peace to you may feel very much like stagnation. It may feel like boredom. When you get bored, that is your mind saying, so what do we do now? There's no drama. We're not having to worry about anything. And that's when you ask yourself the question, what do I like to do? I don't know. And that's when you go and you explore. What do you like to do? What are you curious about? And then you'll become aware of the things you deny yourself, the things you're curious about, the things you want to experience and you've told yourself no because it's not for you or whatever, because that is destabilizing energy and it keeps you in your comfort zone. Getting out of your comfort zone is getting into good stuff, getting into stuff that's going to stabilize your energy. And you're going to have a lot of energy. You're going to find you're going to have a lot of space and a lot of energy in your life when you get out of this destabilizing energy, this need to destabilize. You're going to find that you have a lot more vitality to do stuff with. And the questions that you're going to get asked are like, what do you like to do? What do you want to do with all this energy? What is the meaning of your life? What is your life purpose? Those kind of things. Okay. We'll get a few more messages here for you for my group 3. Okay, we have celebration. This is going to be radically different for you. You are going to have changes that you will celebrate. You'll be happy about these changes. These are happy, healthy, balanced changes. I'm not saying you won't make some mistakes along the way. We all do. But that's part of learning your intuition. That's part of learning, learning the energies that are good for you. That's about sharpening your intuition, okay? But you need to have some fun, okay? When you're in this intense energy, and I don't mean self-destructive fun. I mean real fun. You need to figure out the things that you like to do and go do them and give yourself some joy. It's okay to go to the movies by yourself. It's okay to go swimming by yourself. It's okay to experience these things by yourself because you're not really alone. You're taking your inner child along with you. Go fly a kite. Go feed some ducks. Do some of the things that you weren't able to do. Okay? We have transformation. Yes, powerful death card energy here. Powerful transformation is coming in through these changes, okay? It's important that you stay connected to the moment of now. The moment of now is really powerful. And it takes time. Be patient in this commitment. Be patient. Be loving. Have the kind of commitment to yourself that you want others to have to you. Be the kind of partner, nurturing parent to yourself that you want others or you wanted others to be to you, okay? And we have just go. Just do it. That Nike logo, just do it. Just do this. Do this for you. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for you, okay? All right, group 3. That's why you were born into your family. I hope this resonated. If it did, please drop me a comment below. I would love to hear from you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd love to have you as a member of my tribe. And if you'd like to see more readings like this one, give me a thumbs up. And I'll see you beautiful, magical creatures next time. Bye, guys.